Hi guys, I'm Crystal with Crystal Clear Photography. I am a brand photographer, content creator, flat lay lover, and mom boss. I'm coming to you today talking on my vlog a little bit about my ultimate list of tools, tips, and tricks for Instagram. One of the biggest and fastest growing platforms right now for a lot of us small business owners. It is a gold mine for a lot of the ways that we can reach the people that we are looking to have buy our products, work with us on different services that we offer, or just follow us to tag along with some of the fun things that we blog about. That being said, let me dive into my ultimate list of Instagram tools. So to start, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the photo editing tools because, well, I'm a photographer, so that's usually one of the most popular questions that I get throughout my workshops or even just the people I work with on a strategy session. They all want to know, what are some of the photo editing tools that I utilize in my business when I'm doing photos on the fly and I need to be able to upload something on my phone and get it over to Instagram right away. Yes, that does mean that not every single photo I've taken is photo that I took with my camera. I do take photos with my phone as well because, well, sometimes when we're out traveling, we don't always have our camera ready. Yes, I just admitted that as a photographer. I don't always have my camera with me all the time. So I do shoot a lot of things with my phone. So that being said, some of the most popular apps and apps that I have downloaded right now on my phone are things like Lightroom. You don't have to have the full Adobe suite. You don't have to have Lightroom on your computer. You can have just Lightroom for your phone. There's also the free version versus the paid version. The free version you can get a lot out of, and let me tell you, I started with just the free version on my phone and it allowed me to do a lot. Now this is going to be for someone who's a little bit more advanced and wants to take an opportunity to really play with a lot of tricks and tools like lighting, brightness, shadows, the depth of color, temperature, things like that. So if you really know what those things mean and you're not going, oh, what is she talking about? Then Lightroom would be for you, or it would be a great tool to get started if you want to learn some of those more advanced tools to really make your images pop a little bit more in your feed. Another great app is Snapseed. I would say Snapseed is a good starting point for a business owner who is not too sure how to edit but knows that they want their images to look a little bit better, or maybe they snapped a photo that they really love but the lighting was just a little off, or maybe they needed to just up the saturation or the contrast just a little bit just to make the colors pop some. Snapseed's a great tool to start with. It's one that I still use and I still kind of moderate through each of the apps kind of depending on what I want to modify. So Snapseed's what I use for a quick edit when I know that the photo just needs a slight tweak, and mainly when it comes to the lighting portion of it. So I will upload it to Snapseed real quick, make a couple of adjustments, download it, and be able to upload it right away to Instagram. Another one of my favorites that I have on my phone is Color Story. Color Story is mainly just for that, for color. So if your brand consists of a lot of color, or you like just a lot of color, a lot of florals, lots of pops, maybe more bold look to your brand, or your images in general, Color Story is awesome to use. They also have preset filters that you can purchase for like 99 cents a piece that you can go through and add certain ones. So maybe you pick a certain filter that you really like the way that the colors come off, and you use that filter consistently through Color Story on each of your images to keep a same consistent look and the same pop and the same contrast and boldness. It's a little bit easier too for the business owner who's trying to work a little bit more quickly and doesn't have a lot of time to invest in making a lot of tweaks and adjustments and things like that to your photos. And it also, again, will help with the consistency part of it if you're not familiar with editing images at all. Another great app that is very popular is VSCO. So VSCO is another great app that allows you to have a lot of bandwidth between adjusting the curve of the photo, cropping the photo, going through and making lighting adjustments, I would say shadows, anything like that. So VSCO, Snapseed, and Lightroom are all pretty close. I would say Lightroom is going to be my #1 favorite out of those three. VSCO is going to be next. Snapseed is going to be after. And then Color Story is kind of, again, in its own little realm. So if you're just starting out, my recommendation to you would be to look at Snapseed and to look at color story. Those are going to be probably your two easiest to catch on to really quickly. Figure out what settings you like best or which filter you like best to be able to use consistently throughout your images. If you're a little bit more advanced, I would take a look at Lightroom or using VSCO. Those two are my go-to for that particular area to be able to really tweak the lighting and the shade of shadows and color and things like that. So moving on real quick to a couple of my other favorite tools for Instagram, I'm going to go through a little bit about hashtag finders and how I utilize hashtags in my business and how I can kind of create variety through them. So I started using an app called HishHash. That's HishHash. HishHash. It is an app on both Android and iOS. You can download it, and what it allows you to do is to organize and really plan out certain categories of hashtags so that you can go through and create a custom set of hashtags each time without having to go through and brand new search every single time. So you're going to take a little bit of time to invest in this app, but overall, you'll be able to go through and quickly pull hashtags right away. They're going to fit to your posts and the types of things you talk about and get it out to your audience a lot faster. So how do I figure out which hashtags I want to put into this app? Well, I do research. So I go find people who have similar audiences or people who I want to attract. And I take a look at their posts and I see what kinds of things do they hashtag, what are the kinds of things that they follow and search, what are some of the things that my competitors might be utilizing to reach some of the audiences. It's totally okay to go creep up a little bit on your competitors. We're all in the same market and we're fighting for customers, so no need to reinvent the wheel. So I go over, I take a look, I research, I find, which kind of hashtags people are utilizing, what kind my audience is following, and then I determine which ones are suited to my business. Obviously, I shoot a lot of flat lay and stock photography, which is not something that's out there a whole lot. So sometimes it's a little bit harder to research, but maybe someone, researches and looks at things like my white desk or my white table or flat lay love or stock photography or stock photos or free stock photos, things like that. So see how it kind of trickles on itself. So I go and I start looking for things like that. And I take those and I put them into HishHash. And HishHash will actually allow you to type it in, and then you can click on the hashtag that you've entered, and then you can go through and see that it gives you a bunch of options of similar hashtags that you can go through and select. So if I selected my white table, because I always end up shooting on something white, so that's one that I use, then I can go in, click on my white table, and it might pop up and it might say my white table, my pretty white table, give you a couple of different options. And so then what I do is I go through and I will go ahead and grab those options and utilize those as well. So it allows me to create categories, allows me to go in, store those hashtags, find some that are similar to it that I might want to utilize. And that way I can go through, hit auto populate, it grabs 30 from that selection of each category that I have, and then I could quickly upload it right away and utilize it without having to go through and spend time and time again trying to find new hashtags or hashtags that are going to be relevant to my audience or people like you. So what's another tip that I could give you? Some ideas on photos and captions. As a content creator, coming up with ideas for photos and captions is something that I constantly tackle with each client that I'm working with. How to take the images and then learning how to utilize them and talk. Sometimes it's easier to start with the photo first and then create the caption afterwards. Most of the clients I work with typically start in that direction. So we sit down and we talk about creating the photos. So when you're thinking about what kinds of things could you shoot, think about what you're trying to market. And yeah, I feel like people say that all the time and you're kind of like, still don't know what you're talking about. So let's take the next couple of months, for instance. We're going into the fall here, so we know that we've got Thanksgiving coming up, we've got Christmas coming up, we've got New Year's, we've got winter in terms of seasons, we've got fall blankets, leaves, and all of the cozy things that we think about, coffee, hot cocoa, marshmallows, things like that. So maybe you're going to shoot a couple of photos for yourself that are centric around those types of things that are coming up. Maybe you want to talk about your favorite winter items. So you're going to shoot a photo with the blankets and the coffee mug, and you're going to have marshmallows falling off the side. You're going to add some chocolate, because who doesn't love chocolate? And you're going to put all of these things in your image. So start with your images first, decide what kinds of things you want to snap a couple of photos of and have available, and then work backwards and use those as ways to talk or prompt your clients to respond to you and have them tell you what's going on with your favorite seasonal items, or talk to them about how this huge storm just swept through and all you want to do is sit on the couch and cuddle up as opposed to having to work. Things like that. So use your images as ways to talk about the relatable items that your clients are going to want to actually hear from you. And then maybe occasionally you can sneak in a desk shot and talk a little bit about an upcoming launch that you have, or your brand new website, or maybe you're talking about a blog that you just posted that goes through top 15 ideas for Christmas, things like that. So I kind of work it backwards. I start with the photos that I have and what are the kinds of things that I can talk about with those photos, or what do those photos provoke when I see them. And I just take what's on the top of my mind and I put it out there, and people will relate to it, be able to comment back to me, and hopefully we'll see the value in the content that I can provide, and want to continue that conversation and that relationship with me and continuing to build my following. So just to recap, I went through some photo editing tools, I went through some things for hashtags, and then of course giving you a couple of tips here with making sure that you decide what photos you want, and then using those photos and the feelings they provoke to really help you create the captions that you want, and then thinking about the planning that is involved with it, like what's coming up, what are the kinds of things that you can talk about, what are you doing in the next 2 to 3 months to help you really kind of come up with those captions to create the perfect Instagram planning tool. So hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have questions, I'm an open book. I constantly post different things about different tips and tricks and apps and things that I utilize. If you'd like to see me edit maybe on some of the apps that I've mentioned here, like Lightroom, Snapseed, VSCO, or Color Story, shoot me a quick message. I'd be happy to do a video that I can post and share with you guys. Otherwise, stay tuned for the next vlog.